Every generation in hip-hop has its wild card. From 3-6 Mafia turning Southern crunk into a global movement, to Gucci Mane redefining trap with raw authenticity, there's always someone who shakes things out. And in Dallas, Texas, that somebody is Ginn Lee, an up-and-coming rapper whose career is already swimming in controversy. Ginn Lee was born in Bedford, Texas, just outside Dallas, on March 3, 1998. His biological father came from money, tied to a well-known Dallas strip club empire, but behind the wealth was a violent streak. Rumor has it that while pregnant with Ginn, his father tried to take her life. She survived, but the ordeal shattered the family.
Bro, my dad trying to kill me in my mama's stomach when, man, come on, bro. It's deeper than just, your daddy's, Nah, bro, it's real life. It ain't all just, fairy tales and shit like that. Like, this ain't that. And you're gonna find out real quick that it ain't that.
Ginn was raised by his mother and stepfather, both battling addiction. Empty fridges and constant instability forced him to grow up fast, hustling just to survive. For a while, football gave him a way out. The game offered structure, discipline, and a brotherhood he craved. But that path ended in 10th grade, when a marijuana bust at just 15 years old killed his gridiron dreams. From there, the streets became his playing field. Robberies replaced touchdowns, and his loyalty shifted to a different kind of brotherhood, the rolling 60s Crips. It gave him belonging, but came with consequences far beyond the game. Rumors of his Crip affiliation spread quickly, and let's be real, he stood out. White, wide, and sporting a flowing ginger jerry curl. In Dallas rap, that wasn't exactly a common sight. To make noise, he had to be louder, brasher, and yes, sometimes reckless.
White boy, red hair, ain't never been over here before. Target. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going like that. And it gradually got like that to where it's like, I started punching first.
Ginn has always been tight-lipped about the politics inside the set, careful not to put anyone else in danger. The details remain murky, but the streets point to robberies and home invasions as his early hustle.
I ain't gonna lie, that's something like I politic off the camera or whatever and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? Like you hear the people that I be around or heard of and see or whatever, and even the people from the land, you know what I'm saying? Like that they know.
Still, as his music began catching fire, he shifted his focus to the studio. The streets never left his side though, and his street family stayed with him every step of the way. It wasn't just his background or even the gang rumors that got Ginn Lee trending. It was his mouth. Specifically, his use of the N-word in freestyles and tracks. Critics blasted him for cultural appropriation and racism. Supporters brushed it off as street authenticity.
Ginn Lee, that white dude,
Yeah.
he's white. That's what he is. But his soul, his mannerism, his upbringing, and everything about him, that's a nigga.
Despite the noise, Ginn Lee kept pushing. Dallas has always had its own hip-hop DNA, gritty southern trap with a swagger only that city delivers. Lee leaned into it, blending raw, aggressive bars with hooks catchy enough to stick in your head.
Bro, we from Dallas, bro. That nigga at the end of the bar, that hit. You know what I'm saying? And you feel it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't from New York and shit. You heard? What's up, big? I ain't with all that. You know? It's Dallas, this Texas, bro. This how we is. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like if they don't fuck with it, at least I could say, if I didn't make it, at least I went the way I wanted to go.
Ginn didn't hide from the backlash. He used it. While his name trended for all the wrong reasons, he locked himself in the studio and came out swinging. If you're enjoying this documentary, please subscribe, like, and share it. It really helps me out a lot with growing this new channel. Thanks, and let's get back into it. In 2021, Ginn Lee teamed up with fellow Dallas rapper Lil Walk for Walkley, a joint project that captured the streets in stereo. It was rough, unapologetic, and pure Dallas energy. A snapshot of two hungry artists carving out their lane. Unfortunately, shortly after the project's release, Walk was shot in the back and paralyzed from the waist down. The tragedy hit close to home, a terrifying and heartbreaking reminder of the consequences of gang life in Dallas. Despite his injuries, he refused to fade from the spotlight. He continues to make music and regularly appear in Ginn's videos, symbolizing the resilience that defines their world. In 2022, Lee's breakout single Motion flipped the script and put him on the map. The track's raw energy and swagger made Dallas pay attention, proving that behind the controversy was genuine talent. By 2024, he released Born Gutter, a defining moment in his career. It was grittier, darker, and more reflective, a portrait of someone who'd seen both sides of the streets and still stood tall. Critics in the underground scene called it his breakthrough statement. Around this time, life hit Ginn Lee hard. He lost his job, his baby mama left, and his kids were gone too. It was rock bottom, but instead of quitting, he doubled down on the only thing he had left: the music. Every verse, every hook became therapy. What most would have seen as a breaking point, Ginn turned into fuel.
I'm more worried about this lifestyle than I am the home lifestyle. She want that white picket fence, the little 2 cars in the front, nice little crib, mowed lawn. She want me to put my laundry in the hamper. And man, I'm out here trying to get it. I'm not even coming home for 2 days.
Then, in 2025, Ginn went into overdrive. He unleashed a string of releases back to back, each with its own identity but carrying the same raw hunger. Genuine arrived first, stripped down and honest, showing a more introspective side. It included Stand On It, a track that turned the spotlight back on controversy. It wasn't just a song, it was a statement. Ginn Lee made it clear he wasn't backing down or censoring himself. His refusal to drop the N-word from his raps became the centerpiece of the track, a defiant response to critics who wanted him to fold. The song went viral almost instantly, reigniting debates, drawing new eyes, and cementing Ginn's reputation as both fearless and unapologetic. Just months later came How You Wanna Do It, followed quickly by its deluxe edition, adding new collaborations and remixes that expanded his sound. Next came Let's Get Active, pure adrenaline and street ambition pressed into an album, followed by Twins, a collaborative project with fellow Crip and New York rapper Wire S. Buggs that showcased Ginn's chemistry across state lines and solidified his role in the Dallas scene. Then came No Cosign, released on September 19, 2025, a sharp statement of independence and defiance. The sound was colder, more polished, but still raw at its core. Trap drums under haunting melodies, layered with verses that made it clear Ginn wasn't asking for anyone's approval. By now it was clear Ginn Lee wasn't chasing fame. He was building something lasting. From Motion to Born Gutter and through the wave of 2025 releases, he proved that controversy might have made him famous, but consistency made him dangerous. As Ginn Lee's name spread through Dallas, so did the tension. The more his fame grew, the more enemies came with it. Online threats turned into real-life friction, and soon, the streets started watching every move he made. As the controversy grew, not everyone was laughing it off. One name stood out among the voices calling Ginn Lee out: 4Extra, a rapper tied to the 40s Crip set. Known for his short fuse and street credibility, 4Extra didn't hold back when asked about Ginn.
We know you're trying to go viral and all that. We know what you're trying to do and all that. But keep the shit in your house, because if we catch your dumb ass, I know you're going to try to break it down to us and give us an excuse and all the good shit and make it sound good for the motherfucking camera and all that. But we're going to knock you out. And when we knock you out, remember.
But the situation didn't spiral the way many expected. Not long after his viral comments, 4Extra learned what a lot of people outside East Bedford didn't know. Ginn Lee wasn't just playing around with blue rads for image. Word got around that he was actually affiliated. Behind the scenes, mutual contacts stepped in, and the two agreed to let the issue die down. The tension eased, but the air between them stayed cold. They weren't trading disses anymore, but nobody mistook that for friendship.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, look, bro, he claiming to be a homie, bro. So at the end of the day, I don't like talking about my homies on here. You know what I'm saying? So tap in, call me, you know what it is.
And suddenly, Ginn wasn't just fighting critics online. He was walking through neighborhoods where people were actively looking for him. The energy around his name shifted. Every appearance, every show, every social post carried a new tension. one that could explode at any moment. Then came the infamous mall incident. Lee and rival rapper FDA crossed paths inside a Dallas shopping center. Words turned to shoves, and shoves turned to fists, an all-out brawl erupting in front of stunned shoppers. By most accounts, Ginn came out on top, but the chaos didn't stop there. In the middle of the fight, FDA's girlfriend allegedly pulled a knife and stabbed Ginn Lee. Security stormed the scene, pepper spray filled the air, and the brawl ended in blood, confusion, and viral footage that spread across social media within hours. Ginn Lee didn't waste a moment. While most rappers would have laid low after a stabbing, he did the opposite. He went straight to the studio. Within days, he dropped the track aimed directly at his rival FDA. The track was named BTA on FDA. It wasn't subtle. Bar after bar, Ginn called FDA out by name, mocking the fight, the stabbing, and the chaos that followed. The message was loud and clear. He wasn't backing down. Not long after squashing the tension with 4 Extra, another storm was brewing, this time with Rainwater, one of Dallas's most outspoken rap managers and figures in the local scene. Known for his close ties to artists like Mo 3, Rainwater was never one to bite his tongue, and neither was Ginn Lee. It started online, heated words, interviews, and Instagram lives. Rainwater questioned Ginn's authenticity, saying he was just another internet gangster trying to capitalize off real street culture.
Your dad is a millionaire, you want to rap and say, nigga, you better put a suit on and own a club, boy. You better suit on, own a club. Your dad is a millionaire. Your grandpa's a millionaire. You got white, rich wealth, and you want to act like a gangster with these Moissanite diamonds in your mouth.
Hold on, wait, stop right there.
Ginn didn't take that lightly. He fired back, calling Rainwater an opportunist who talks like he made Dallas, turning their disagreement into a full-blown feud watched by thousands. What started as online back and forth turned real when Ginn Lee and Rainwater crossed paths at South by Southwest. Cameras were everywhere, and what could have been a quiet exchange turned into one of the festival's most viral moments. Ginn accused No Jumper of exploiting the situation, twisting his words to paint him as unstable, a clown instead of an artist. He confronted the host face to face. He needed to clear his name.
You asking real stomped down hustlers, real gangsters, real killers about me. Like, you asking real people about me, bro. And it's like, I don't have myself here to defend. And the way you bring it up is, like, how you feel about this white guy using the N-word and he's just all over, he's just whooping black people's ass.
Ginn stood his ground, doubling down on his independence. He made it clear he didn't need a cosign, a manager, or a label to validate him. The feud with Rainwater might have started as drama, but it cemented Ginn's image as a self-made artist who answered to no one. Ironically, the feud did what every good controversy does. It boosted his profile. Ginn's name was everywhere: podcasts, blogs, YouTube channels, and street corners. The argument with Rainwater only poured gas on the fire. Streams jumped, followers multiplied, and suddenly, everyone wanted to know who Ginn Lee really was. For an artist who built his name on raw authenticity, the moment proved one thing. In Dallas rap, attention is currency, and Ginn Lee was learning how to spend it. Fresh off the Rainwater feud, Ginn Lee once again found himself in the spotlight, this time for a song that nobody saw coming. His single Charlie Kirk dropped just days after the political commentator's assassination, and the timing alone sent social media into a frenzy. The track itself wasn't a diss or a mockery. It barely mentioned Kirk at all, but the title, combined with Ginn's history of pushing boundaries, was enough to ignite outrage. Political accounts on X and YouTube exploded, accusing Lee of exploiting tragedy for clout and calling for his cancellation. But little did they know, they tried that before. Ginn Lee had already survived the internet's fire more than once, and this was no different. The louder the backlash got, the more his streams climbed. For Lee, Charlie Kirk wasn't provocation, it was art born from chaos. A snapshot of a world where outrage spreads faster than understanding. You can't silence a voice as raw and unfiltered as Ginn Lee. You can try, but you can't stomp it out. From the streets of East Bedford to the world stage, Ginn Lee's story has never been clean or comfortable. It's a tale of survival, defiance, and raw self-belief. A kid who grew up surrounded by chaos and found purpose in the one thing he could control, his voice. He's been canceled, stabbed, pepper sprayed, and written off. Yet somehow, every time the smoke clears, he's still there, louder, bolder, and more unapologetically himself. Whether you see him as a villain, a visionary, or just another product of his environment, one thing's undeniable: Ginn Lee refuses to fold. Every controversy, every fight, every headline, it's all part of a larger story about a man chasing authenticity in a world built on performance. In a genre where image often outweighs truth, Ginn Lee's raw imperfection is his truth. He's not polished, not packaged, and definitely not censored. He's a reflection of the city that raised him, flawed, fierce, and impossible to ignore. For some, he's proof that you can't silence a real voice. For others, he's a warning. Either way, Ginn Lee's story isn't finished. Thank you for watching. If you're still here, you understand every life has complexity, and every story deserves to be heard. Subscribe to Felons Witness to follow the next chapter of Ginn Lee's journey, to see how a man shaped by the streets, controversy, and music fights for his own legacy.